Okay, welcome to Sprout School, week 16, our last Sprout School session. It has been such a joy to hang out with you all for the last year, and we're so excited to hear the presentations of your Sprout School projects tonight. So, without further ado, I will go ahead and hand it off to Noelle. And yeah, take it away, Noelle.
Okay, so um, my name's Noelle Mitchell. I am a health educator for WVU Extension, and my position is funded entirely by SNAP-Ed. So if SNAP-Ed does end up on the chopping block, I will be out looking for work. So keep me in mind. Um, so my program was to develop and implement a written curriculum combining one of our programs with farm to school programs that were happening in Fayette County. So I partnered together with the um, director of school nutrition, um, Andy Pence, whom we heard from a couple of weeks ago, and we put together some programs that were he had written a grant for, so he had the money, and then I had programs already set up that kind of mirrored what he was looking for. So we partnered together on this, and it worked out really well. So the first thing I did was develop a calendar, and you can see it there. It says 2023, but that's just because it's an old copy of that program. The Food of the Month program is one of the programs that we were looking to marry up together. And the Food of the Month program that we do picks a different fruit or vegetable or food group or whatnot for each month of the school year. And then we go into the schools and try to um, enforce or introduce or encourage kids to try this food or food group and increase it in their diet for health purposes. So, can we go to the next slide, please? So, my goals were to combine their gardening program that the um, Board of Education school farm to school program was starting with our Harvest of the Month program and develop an annual calendar of activities with monthly activities by January. Uh, then to write a curriculum describing those activities that'll be done each month, creating a toolkit of lesson plans for teachers to use or the AmeriCorps to use that Andy had hired. Um, we were hoping to expand from 9 classrooms to 15 by the end of this school year. And then Andy hired 2 AmeriCorps workers, volunteers, and we could use this toolkit then to train them. And then, so the thought was that I would do the program first, and they would be able to see it in action, and then they would be able to take it and replicate it. And that's how we were going to increase the number of classrooms that we were doing. Okay. Thank you. So the first step was to combine the 2 programs and create an annual calendar of activities. And this is the first half of it. I couldn't fit all of it on the screen, but I figured you could extrapolate from there. So for January, the harvest of the month was sweet potatoes. So we're going into the schools and doing a taste test with those sweet potatoes and getting the kids to vote on whether they like them or not. Um, and then to do a gardening activity reinforcing the sweet potatoes. So we did sweet potato tater tots, and they were mostly well received. Uh, because they're sweet potatoes, they don't crisp up like regular tater tots. They tend to be a little mushy unless you kind of char them a little bit. So they didn't like the texture too much, but more people liked them than not. So that was a win for us. And then we were doing the gardening activities with all the second grade classrooms. So we went into the second grade classrooms and showed them how to start sweet potatoes in water so that they could grow slips and they could then plant the slips in the school garden. So for February, it was microgreens. For March, it was infused water or milk. So we did smoothies. And then April was radishes. May is strawberries, um, which is always a big winner. Yeah, we don't have a hard time convincing kids to try those. But we do make the strawberry s'mores with a Greek yogurt. So by encouraging them to eat the strawberries, we're actually encouraging them to eat Greek yogurt, which has more protein in it than regular yogurt. So that part got done. And then to write a curriculum describing the activities, I went through each month and did a two-page spread showing what the food of the month or the harvest of the month taste test could be, and then all the steps for actually implementing the garden activity. Um, so there's a page like this for each month, except for June, July, and August. I combined those 3 months into just summer maintenance, knowing that there would be no kids there and there would be a minimum of hands-on involvement in the garden other than like me. So, okay. So, I'm so sorry. This slide came out all wonky. Um, that's okay, because what it showed is that we wanted to expand from 9 classrooms to 15 by the end of the school year. And what happened was um, both of our AmeriCorps got released from contract. Um, so instead of increasing the number of classrooms we did, we ended up not doing the program for the last for April and May. So we decreased from 9 classrooms to 0 classrooms by the end of the school year. And then next year, the plan would be if we can't get AmeriCorps to just plan, work the scheduling better, because I could have scheduled my time to where I could have continued those 9 classrooms had I known we weren't going to have AmeriCorps to do it for us. But by the time I knew that we weren't going to have the AmeriCorps, my schedule had already been made up. So didn't quite make that goal, but that's just a learning lesson. Um, if the curriculum had been done sooner, if I had gotten all of the different month activities planned out sooner, AmeriCorps a little better, so they might have been able to stick it out and complete the program or not, because there were some interesting personalities going on there. And but it might have gone smoother had we been able to use the curriculum at the beginning rather than work on it as we go. And I think that is the last slide. Oh, nope, 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 nope. So train the two AmeriCorps. So training was conducted for them on the job, which is how we've done it over the last several years. But if we had had that written curriculum, like I said, we might have been able to conduct the training, in a more of a classroom setting so that they had a better overall understanding of what they were supposed to be doing. Um, Again, or not, because it wasn't just the training that was an issue, I don't believe. So that, I believe, is the last slide.
Amazing, Noelle. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for presenting. And yeah, the resource that Noelle developed is incredible. I sent her an email last week and like it was one of the highlights of my week to just get to look through and see the recipes and the fun
Yeah,
facts. And yeah, then I went and watched this
thank
really
you.
cool time lapse on how sweet potatoes grow. And I'm like, it's amazing. And the fact that you're bringing that to the kids is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Um,
was in one of the second grade classrooms today, and they were showing me all the things that we had planted for
oh,
their little windowsill garden. Like the tomatoes are growing, and the sweet potato has sprouts on it,
my favorite.
and I was just so thrilled that something had grown, and they got to see it. So yeah, so that's a big payoff.
Yeah. Well, and Noel, our final report is due in November, and
I'm going for blood in our final report and explaining how our project is kind of dependent upon the rest of the federal government functioning. So
Right?
I will totally advocate for like all
Oh,
of
thank you.
it. It's
We
insane.
need all the help we can get.
Yeah. Well, and Northeast Air is not one that's in danger of being cut, and their leadership is very understanding of how why things are the way they are. So
And I knew that this might be coming down the road. Today was just the day where we heard
yep.
that it's now in writing that
Yep.
somebody is trying to cut our funding. So,
Mm. Oh, we'll hope that doesn't happen.
yes, I do too.
We all do. We all do.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think this presentation is a testament to your story about the second graders to the amazing value of this programming. Noel, would it be okay to share the calendar with folks, the like curriculum with folks who are interested in it?
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, we will send that out.
You may be coming to a future gathering and doing a whole training for next year's people. You may not know that.
Ooh,
Or we may come to you
ooh,
and plan one in
that
Fayetteville.
might be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
you have to come here because, Secret Sandwich Society.
Yes.
If
I mean, duh.
Oh, I've heard legends of Secret Sandwich Society, so I'm excited.
You should come to Fayette County Day on the field course.
Yeah, I should. I know, like even not not as a participant, just as a
Just
fan.
come, just show
I'm a
up.
Fayette County enthusiast, and
I'm just here for lunch.
there. Jenny just said so many amazing things, and yeah, so I think that's a plan. We'll get Secret Sandwich Society. All right, amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And next, we will go to Marlena. Mushrooms.
All right. I am Marlena, and my role is we have a farm here in Hardy County, but we also have a presence in the growing homeschool community here in the area too. Um, so my project was to do mushroom logs with the local kids group that gets together once a week at the local state park. And each week they do a different topic on something that's nature-based, or they do nutrition things, or things specific to West Virginia. Um, so being a forest farm, we get a lot of questions about how do we grow things, and I just felt that it was a really good hands-on opportunity for the kids to see how we do that. And by doing it at the state park, we could open it up to more kids. We ended up having 21 kids in attendance. And then their parents and guardians got to come too. Um, so our project goal was to enhance the kids' knowledge of mushrooms and their nutritional benefits, as well as the environmental benefits of mushrooms, and provide them with the confidence needed to explore non-traditional foodways. Um, so we did a brief PowerPoint presentation, kind of went over the life cycle of a mushroom, parts of a mushroom, the different mushroom types, and then how mushrooms benefit nature and the different nutrition aspects of mushrooms. And then we talked about the specific mushrooms that they would be growing, which were oyster mushrooms. Um, and then went over briefly tool safety before we let the kids, do the hands-on part. Um, the presentation itself, I kind of felt went a little quicker than I would have liked just because the kids were so excited. Um, we kind of had a display on the table behind me of the log, and of course, they had kind of heard what they were going to be doing that day, so they were really excited. Um, but in the end, that turned out to be better. If you could go to the next slide, please. Um, After the presentation, we broke into 5 groups by different ages and abilities. So we had like the really little kids in one group and the older kids in another group, and all the in-betweens were in a couple different groups. The older kids did great they drilled their own holes. We had pre-drilled like pilot holes to make sure that they knew where the holes went and that it wasn't, drills slipping everywhere. Um, but the older kids did great with that. The little kids we had partially done like full log holes in them, so that they didn't have to drill any if they didn't want to. Um, so each child got to inoculate their own log, and each group had a drill, a mallet, their safety glasses, mushroom plugs, and wax. And um, actually, this year we have a intern from the community college, and so she was able to come help out that day as well. So that helped immensely. Not only did we have the parents and the leaders of the group there as well, but my intern was there to help with log inoculation with the kids. And so having the 5 small groups worked out well. Is there one more slide, I think? Yes. So the kids really, really enjoyed using the tools. There was one little girl who wasn't doing the drilling, but she said, "Can you drill more holes for me? Because I really love to hammer." And so we went back and gave her a couple more holes on the log just to let her hammer some more. Um, their abilities did vary wildly, just not just by age group, but like we had some of the older kids that were in the 13 to 15 range, who's like they were had just as much inexperience with tools as some of the younger kids, and vice versa. Some of the younger kids had already used power tools at home and, were fine doing it. So I don't think it would necessarily need to be an age-based thing in the future, because they all just kind of had different abilities. A couple of the parents were like, "Does this really work? Is this really how you grow mushrooms? Is this where our mushrooms come from?" So that was kind of fun to, discuss with parents too, that yes, this is how you can grow mushrooms. Um, and then, as I said, their attention span was short during the presentation, but once we got into the hands-on portion, the questions the kids were asking and the thoughts that all of it was provoking, it was amazing some of the questions they asked. And I myself homeschool, but my kids did not go to this day. They've, inoculated enough mushroom logs. It's more of a chore at home. They didn't want to do it. But it was fun listening to all the other kids ask the questions and, get really into it. So that was, I think it was successful. And then we kind of followed up with a letter to the parents, explaining what to expect from the mushroom logs and how to take care of them. And then we are thinking, it wasn't in my original plan, but after the class, they asked if we would come back and do another class once their logs started developing mushrooms, if we would do another class on how to cook with mushrooms. So we're considering doing that at the state park as well. So, and I think that's the last slide.
Wow. Jenny and I have just both been sitting here like, this is so cool.
Also, my summer intern is obsessed with mushrooms.
Mhm.
And he used to be a camp counselor, so I may connect you with him to kind of dive a little deeper into this project so that we can truly get something that other people can duplicate.
Awesome. It went much better than I thought it would. Like the week of it, and I was getting everything ready. I was like, what in the world did I think going into this with power tools and kids? But it really went super smoothly. I don't think it could have gone better, you know.
But yeah, I do too. We cooked with oyster mushrooms this summer. I worked at research station of the University of Virginia, and we had a weekly dinner. And one week's weekly dinner was to find something from the property and cook with it. And yeah, I made somebody else did like sautéed oyster mushrooms in garlic and butter, and they were so good. And I was like, okay, I'll have to do something else. And I ended up putting them in like little egg casserole that was pretty tasty with some other herbs that had been foraged from the property. But so I'm really glad that you're going to do the follow-up piece of cooking with mushrooms because yeah, I feel like that's not knowledge that everyone has. What are some of your favorite things to do with mushrooms since we have an expert on the call?
I really like sauteed mushrooms
Yeah,
in
they're
just about
great.
everything.
Yeah.
So like, on my steak, I'm doing sauteed mushrooms and subs and sandwiches. Like I'll usually do some sauteed mushrooms for breakfast. Like that's probably my number one go-to. Of course, I like to saute my mushrooms in ramp butter, get both of them going there. So, but I do cook with mushrooms for myself, but no one else in my family likes mushrooms. So it's kind of, not everything has mushrooms in it. I wish it could, but we actually have, we do a hot cocoa with mushrooms.
Mhm.
And that's how I get my kids to eat the mushrooms because we grind them up really fine and they don't realize that it's in their hot cocoa.
I have a coworker that makes hot cocoa mix that's actually mushroom mix. It's great.
It's really good. Oh, cool. This is terrific, Marlena. I'm so glad that you did this. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yep.
Okay. I think we've got, yeah, Daryl up next. So we'll just go ahead and bypass these slides, but he's got a great plan as he's talked about on some of our other calls to do container gardening with children receiving SNAP benefits up in the Berkeley Springs area. Great community support. That's cute. Oh, this is great.
Oh, that's the best.
This must have been, yeah, Daryl's telling us this about this visit the last time. This must have been when they visited the retirement community to get more support for their project. Oh, that's terrific. Hopefully we'll get to hear about that some other time. I love his Crocs. Absolutely. The Crocs and the apron and the Hawaiian shirt.
It makes it
great outfit.
That is a gardening outfit if I ever saw one.
Okay. Okay, and I think next in our sequence is Sherry, and Sherry's project is coming up this summer. So I'm excited for her to tell you all about it.
Thank you. Yeah, so my project as Margaret said, my project hasn't happened yet. Mountaineer Country Farm Crawl is something that was started by a few area farms last year. So we're trying it again this year. There are 5 farms participating right now. None of them are well, one does have beef cattle, I guess, but 2 flower farms, a produce and hops farm, um, and I forget what the other two, oh, the other 2 are produce farms. And then a restaurant that does use a lot of local produce. And then an equine therapy nonprofit is also participating this year. I'm going to try and get a couple more places. Last year we had a lavender farm, but they have a wedding this year, so they can't participate. Just lost my train of thought. So our goal is to share information about our farms and businesses and agricultural practices that the community may not know about. Last year, they guessed, no one really took hard numbers, but they guessed most places had about a minimum of 200 people from Monongalia, Marion, and Harrison counties. I'll be participating um, on behalf of my flower farm. So I forgot to mention, I do work for the Department of Agriculture, um, West Virginia Department of Agriculture. But if I were going to work on behalf of, my actual job, we would have to do a lot of biosecurity paperwork and different things. So I thought, we're not having animals here, so we'll just go ahead and bypass that, and I'll just be Sherry with the flower farm. Um, So what my plan is I'll give a little talk about my flowers because mostly I wholesale, and we'll have caterpillar tunnels on everything. There's not going to be a whole lot to see aside from my peony garden, but of course they're blooming now, so they won't be much to look at either, really. But My husband has talked to the tractor dealership where we get our stuff, and they're talking about doing something, whether it's a touch a tractor activity for kids or they'll bring up the mini tractors for them. I don't know what he's going to do. He had wanted to let them dig up the yard, and I said no. Probably not a great idea. Um, and I have written here, I want to do a sensory garden. I would love to do that, but I am having a lot of trouble finding different plants for all of the senses. Because I despise starting seeds in January and February. I'm still not ready to think about flowers. So I didn't get anything started way back when I should have. So I will have to buy everything from my garden center. So the sensory garden might not happen. However, I am talking to Mon County's, their Rotary has a pollinator project education activity that they do. So they're going to be here, and I'm talking to Marion County beekeepers to see if they'll be able to help because they also have some kids' education. The Farmers Market Association, I was able to use some of my Sprout School funds for their education tunnel, which is something new they have this year. And tomorrow night, I'm going to a conservation meeting, so I'm going to ask them if their conservation tunnel is also available that weekend. And then my friend and coworker, Casey Ganser, is going to do a kids farmers market kind of activity. We haven't really nailed down what she's going to do, but she is amazing and has so many different activities. And she's just an amazing, impressive kids education speaker. So I know that I can just turn her loose and let her do what she wants to do. Next slide, please. So our intended outcomes will be increasing community awareness of agriculture and the related businesses. The equine therapy business is fascinating. They not only do outreach, education outreach, they have a couple mini winnies that they take to different schools, and they have like their little fancy shoes and bows in their tails, and they are the cutest thing you've ever seen. But also when you go to their farm, they do a great talk about how when, kids who um, have different abilities, they ride horses. When you ride a horse, you're using the exact same muscles as you do when you're walking. So it really, really helps kids so much more than a lot of other therapies can help them. So I'm excited that they're participating too. And a lot of people wouldn't put together that, yeah, that is actually agriculture related because it's horses. Um, Also, another outcome would be to build community interest in area agriculture opportunities. We're fortunate in Morgantown at least to have the botanical garden that has a lot of opportunity or, activities and different things. But also there are some community gardens in the area that I feel like maybe some people just either don't think about becoming involved in, just throwing things in the ground and seeing, if anything grows, or maybe they're a little intimidated. So just like to get the word out about that as well. And then also, we'd like to share knowledge of the importance of nature in general and agriculture in general in the area and how it affects our everyday lives. And future plans is to make this an ongoing annual event. This is the second year. Of course, we haven't developed any funding at all yet. So it's just a bunch of middle-aged women who want to get together and make signs and do whatever and share our farms. So if we can, grow the number and also diversity of participants, have a space for vendor opportunities. I am more than happy to open my space to vendors. However, the Morgantown Farmers Market is also Saturday morning into the afternoon. So I feel like that's gonna, I don't want anything competing with those folks because they're also my friends. And we would like to secure nonprofit status, maybe not this year, but next year, and then really kind of organize an infrastructure and planning and systems so that we can make this more easily sustainable in future years. And that's my presentation.
Yay! Well, I'm so excited to hear how it all goes. The plan is great, so you'll have to send us lots of photos of all the wonderful people visiting your flower farm. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Sherry, just because I'm curious, when did you get started with flower farming?
In 20, a little bit in 2020. My mom passed away in May of 2020, and my parents are old souls and had all the pre-need done with the funeral home, down to her flowers. And my dad said, there's a lady at one of the businesses I know who, she does floristry work part-time, and that got me to thinking, I've always wanted to be a florist. And always have done, flowers and different crafty kind of things for my friends and family. Did a couple weddings, low key kind of stuff. Um, I think I'm gonna do that too. So I got into floristry by working part time at a shop in town, and just wanted to, it was 2020. We
Yeah,
all just needed
yeah.
any kind of human interaction we could. So I found a couple big U-pick farms for flowers up in Pittsburgh. So my husband and I drove up there, and I ordered some flowers from a couple wholesalers. I had had a jewelry making business in the past, so the IRS just transferred my tax number to flowers. And yeah, I set up a little roadside stand and sold flowers. And I thought, wow, the shipping is really ridiculous with these flowers that I had to bring in. So I thought, well, I grew up on a farm. Surely, I mean, how hard can it be? Well, it's a lot harder than I thought. um, but yeah, so I just threw some stuff in the ground the first year, and it grew miraculously in my clay. Um, and kind of caught the bug, I guess, from there, and really started getting to be a little more adventurous and following every Facebook group I could find and watching every YouTube video. And um, yeah, and it turned out that my business plan kind of shifts and changes every year, but the easiest, since I do have a 9 to 5 job, has been wholesaling to florists, and I am not the salesperson anymore. I was in the sales business for 15 years, and I feel like that ship has sailed. But my husband is 100% extrovert all the time, so um, I condition the flowers, get them all ready to take to the florist shops. And there is not a florist, a little old lady florist in 5 counties who can't say no to my cute little 72-year-old husband when he comes in and says, "Did you want some flowers?" And yeah, so it's been pretty good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's awesome to see that growth in 5 years. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And my farm is called Flower Therapy. It's therapeutic for me to kind of get back to my roots and spend time in the ground in the dirt. And it does, I do kind of feel close to my mom too.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And I'm so glad you can bring everything that you've learned and all these beautiful flowers to all these people this summer through your project. So that's terrific.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Sherry. All right. Next, we are going to jump to Cindy to hear about Mess Fest
Oh my
happening at
gosh.
the Hampshire County Public Library. I know these
I want
graphics
to go to
are
Mess Fest
amazing.
based on the colors alone.
Okay, so my name is Cindy Shanholtz. I'm the children's librarian at the Hampshire County Public Library in Romney. And I started Sprout School last year, and probably it took me a good few months to try to figure out how I could translate everything I was learning into use at the library. But anyway, this is one of the things that I came up with, and I have a lot of other ideas too now, which I'm really happy about. I've learned that because I have such great resources at the library, and also, children coming in, adults coming in too, but we have great coordination with our extension office, with DEP. Tractor Supply is great with us. And we have some other local farmers that are, frequent patrons of the library as well. So there's a lot of great resources there to do things with the kids, and I'm really excited about it. But for Mess Fest, we are going to have that at the end of our summer reading program. So our summer reading program begins in June, and it'll end at the very beginning of August. So August 2nd is when we're planning the Mess Fest. It's going to be on a Saturday. And what I decided to do was just to try to tie in, some of the things I'd learned about, heard about in the Mess Fest. So I'll just kind of go over some of the things that we're doing. On the first slide, you'll see here, we are having activities. I'll also throw in here, it just so happens that the day that we're having this, we're also having the Sweet Harvest Festival in Romney. So this turned into something that was going to be kind of maybe smallish, and now it's going to be pretty big. So, which is a good thing. I'm a little nervous about it now, but I think it'll be good. But we're going to have different stations set up outside with different activities. And most of the activities, especially with my Sprout School project, are going to be for all ages. We're going to have a seed planting station that we're going to coordinate with Tractor Supply for that. So kids can come and plant seeds and actually take it home. So it gives them a chance to watch their plant grow. We're also going to have a station that is natural dye bandanas. So we've already purchased white 100% cotton bandanas. And then we're going to provide containers that have like boiled purple cabbage and boiled onions and boiled, what was the other one now? I can't remember. There's 3 things that we're going to have there for them to actually dye their bandanas in so that they can see that you don't have to go purchase chemical dyes to do these things. You can grow your own things and naturally dye your what you want to dye. So we're excited about that to kind of teach people a little bit. Another station we're going to have is herb scented sachets. So we just ordered a bunch of quilt squares online, and we are growing our own herbs. So we're going to have lavender, lemon balm, and it goes right out of my mind. But there's 3 or 4, rosemary was one. So we're having 3 or 4 different herbs that are very, scented. And so I was just going to grow them myself at my farm. And it turns out that Tractor Supply decided to coordinate with the library to do like they do in the schools, but they're going to set up a little garden container in our yard beside the library. And so we're going to grow our herbs right there with either the homeschool group or our story hour preschool group to let them plant the herbs, watch them grow. And then when it comes time for Mess Fest, we're going to actually use those herbs to do the sachets with. So they'll kind of see it full circle. So that worked out kind of neat too. We're going to do flower print tote bags. So we're going to have flowers and mallets, and they're going to actually take the flowers, pound them onto the tote bags to naturally print their tote bags. Again, we could use paint, we could use other things, but to actually for people to see that you can just do that with natural flowers and it comes out so beautiful. So we're real excited about that one too. All these things they can take home with them, things that they've made. We're going to have a veggie stamping station that'll pretty much be for small kids or maybe older kids will like it. We're just going to have different sliced veggies there for them to kind of stamp with on paper. But we're also going to, if they want to taste, they also can taste the vegetables too. So we're going to have a fruit smoothie station where we're going to have strawberries, peaches, and bananas. And they get to choose which one they want. And we're going to, have smoothies available for people. again, they can see the process of how we're making them. We're going to mix it together in front of them, and then they get to drink it. We also are going to have, we had these great big pizza boxes from another program that we had a couple years ago, that were the solar oven boxes with the foil. So I thought, oh, what could I do with these? So we're going to do s'mores, with those. So we're going to have the s'mores fixings and let them take the solar boxes and melt their own s'mores to eat. So that was kind of almost a freebie, to do with the kids. And so let's see if I covered everything. I want to make sure I did. The other thing that I thought, yeah, we got everything here, except we decided to throw in, because some of these things maybe the very small kids, would not be able to enjoy. Some of them, yes, some of them, no. So we decided to set up a kids fun zone. So we're just going to have, because it's called Mess Fest, we're going to have some messy stuff. We're going to have a kiddie pool with sand or maybe dirt if we're brave enough, and water, and just let the kids, go at it and have fun with that. We're going to have a couple clear shower curtains that we put up, and the kids are going to actually paint on the shower curtain, and just a water table we're going to have. We're also having a petting zoo there, which I'm excited about because the kids can also see, different farm animals and learn about them. And then we're also doing a reptile program as well along with it. So it's going to be a pretty big thing. I'm real excited about, and hopefully it'll be educational as well as fun for the kids. So that's pretty much all of mine.
Oh, it's incredible, Cindy. Jenny and I like, wow, it's amazing the activities that you all have packed into Mess Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're excited.
You also might see my intern this summer. I will be out of town, but you might see my intern. I mean,
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I think it all sounds great. And both of us, we were looking at each other when you talked about Tractor Supply.
Yes.
Excited about partnering with you all and growing
Right.
the curve so that the kids can use it. And
Yes.
those community connections are really.
Yeah. Well, it's like, that kind of takes me full circle too, because that's how, when I first started learning about Sprout School, was like the school gardens and transferring that to getting the foods to the kids and them eating healthy foods. And so here now we're going to have our own garden to do things like that with so it's really cool. I've got so many ideas to do with that. So I'm excited about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
did you plan all of this? Have you been the primary planner?
I did. kind of,
Wow.
I see all these ideas, and it's hard for me to narrow them down. And so it kind of turned into a monster, but I think it'll be especially in association with the Sweet Harvest Festival, I think it'll give everybody, they can pick and choose what they want, what stations they want to go to. And I think they'll have fun with it. So,
Oh, I know they'll have fun with it. How can you not? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anybody that wants to come, you're welcome to come.
You know what?
I'll be in Spain. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I understand that.
Yeah, but do it next year and I'll come. This is only you can have Mess Fest version 2.0.
You know what? That's right. If it goes really well, we might do it again next year. So,
I
yeah,
already think
absolutely.
it's going to go well, and yeah. I have
Yeah.
Well, we also have a homeschool group that started just this year too. And so I'm listening to the mushroom idea, the
yeah.
log idea, and I'm thinking, wow, things like that can be incorporated. The, Food of the Month Club through the extension office with the homeschool group would be fantastic because they meet once a month at the library. And so I learned so much, and I appreciate the Sprout School for that opportunity to see how I could translate that to the library, because it's pretty awesome.
We're not far from Romney, so if you need, if you want us to come do it again at the library, we can definitely arrange to do that.
That would be fantastic. Yes.
Connection.
Yeah. I'll post my contact in the chat if that works. and we can
Yep,
try and get together on that. Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, this is a great tip
Yeah.
from Noelle on your point of learning things from other people. Noelle just put a message in the chat, Cindy, about using kinetic sand in your sand pool that you can make yourself. So,
Oh, thank you so much for that.
yeah, I'm gonna save this link too. I'm so interested.
Oh,
I,
that would, yeah.
yeah, that's fantastic. Oh my gosh, you're fantastic. And I've noticed while we've all been chatting that Daryl has hopped on this call. Daryl, we saw everything that's been happening with the flooding up in the Eastern Panhandle, so we wondered if that might have been affecting your cell service.
Water is definitely affecting things today.
Uh,
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. First time I've come in just on my phone. I'm usually on my computer, but then dial in for voice in the phone. Our power has been going off and on. Um, Even though I'm on a surge protector, my laptop keeps going off and rebooting, and then it won't do anything once the screen is on. And so I apologize for being late. And leaks in my kitchen and leaks in my living room.
Why
Uh,
are you here? Go take care of your leaks.
yeah. Well, I got the last um, bucket situated, I think, and then looked up at the clock because I have not looked at a clock all day long and went, oh crap, and took off running, hoping I could at least get in here for my presentation. So we're good.
Yeah, we do. We still have time if you feel like you're still willing to share.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. We did go through your slides, Daryl, and the photo of you in the apron with the Hawaiian shirt
And the Crocs.
is great. We're excited to hear more about that.
I was just trying to figure out where did I wear that shirt? Why is it in the laundry bag? Yeah, I forgot that's what I wore that day. Um, so my project is to work with children of SNAP families. Here in Morgan County, about 20% of our children live below the poverty level. And they we have a nice SNAP program with the farmers market where they get SNAP bucks so that they can use their SNAP money in the farmers market and not be limited just to the supermarket. And we recognize that a lot of these people don't have the resources to put in a full-fledged garden, or they don't have the space to put in a full garden, and that we needed to teach them how to use containers. So one of our recycling center here in town, they save the big tree buckets that people bring in to recycle, and I pick them up. So I've been, every time I drive by there, I go in and grab whatever stacked there for me and bring them home. We have the last item to come onto the property so we can start the program is the soil, and I owe 1 penny for it and can now pick it up at Tractor Supply. So if you guys don't know, you can do layaway at Tractor Supply. So in order to meet my spending deadline, I paid everything for the soil but 1 penny, and then they'll order it and it's in. And I need to take my truck over now and get it after the rain, after this weekend, because I'm going to be seeing you guys this weekend. So you want to go to the next slide? Well, I pretty much said that already. So the objective, um, I've partnered with the CEOS Garden Club here in town, and we are going and we have secured 6 Sundays at the farmers market for the summer. They get them as one of the, the community tent, as they call it. And we are working with the folks who run the SNAP program in the farmers market to identify the children. We're having problems, though, because of the confidentiality issues, but they will hand out my forms of interest. I've met with the senior citizens to get their support, and they have forms, and Starting Point has forms. We haven't been able to collect any names yet, but that's because this past weekend was our Master Gardener plant fair, and one I'm chair, so I've been nuts. Something like 70 hours in the last 6 days. But we partnered with the Starting Point and Life for Drugs to have booths at the plant fair as well. This is the first time we've ever worked with nonprofits, so that they could talk to people as well as we talk to people who came to the market. So, advance, please. So our community support, farmers market, the COS Garden Club, we got a lot of donations. The potting soil was a donation. And they actually went to the store. I went with them to Tractor Supply. They paid for it except for that 1 penny. And then again, I'll get that next week. We got an entire pallet, which is I have a forklift on my tractor, and my truck can accommodate the weight. So we're going to bring it back here. The library over in Paw Paw, we are putting in a new garden for them. And they told me to take all the rocks they have, and I brought 2 truckloads of rocks home. And we'll be using those in the bottom of the containers for drainage. And then half full of soil, and that's going to be the starter pack. And then I got 50 pounds of potatoes, and the kids will be planting potatoes. Next year, we want to do more, but this is a pilot for us, of course. And so it's just going to be potatoes, but with 50 pounds of potatoes and each kid getting 3 bags, or each family getting 3 bags, they're going to be able to grow a nice amount of potatoes. And next slide. So the grant money allowed us to get aprons. We have 1 apron per family. And so we have an adult size and we have a children's size. And for the children, we have a white marker that marks on fabrics so the kids can decorate their apron. We bought superhero kid gloves. So each kid will get a set of gloves, a watering can, the little tool bag in the left-hand corner. It is meant for children, so everything is plastic. I don't know how long it will last, but they will get that as part of their kit. And then the plant labels, so we can teach them to label your vegetables. And even though it's just going to say potato, the kids can label their potatoes as well. And started with the senior citizens, talked to Starting Point and Life for Drugs, as I mentioned. And this week we start a Facebook campaign in the 7 or 8 different forums that we have here, and in the COS Garden Club's Facebook page as well. And I think once we get that out, we'll have such a wider audience than the limited numbers I've worked with so far. And we can get going and ready for the next farmers market, which is this weekend, and I won't be there. So the following one after that. We usually don't plant here until around Memorial Day anyway. We can have freezes up to Memorial Day, so they'll still have plenty of time to harvest their potatoes. And I think, is that the last one?
I think that's the last one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, oh, it's terrific. I'm really excited to see how this project comes together, and we'll be excited, to see photos of the potatoes growing.
Well, the nice thing is going forward with this, we're limiting it to 10 families this year.
Gotcha.
But going forward, we have rocks for years to come. We have soil for years to come.
Yeah.
And it will just be the investment in the little tool bags and watering cans for the most part. And they weren't expensive at all. So,
Yeah, no, I'm excited that you're already thinking about the longevity of the program. And when Jenny and I were thinking about the design of Sprout School, it's exactly that, to kind of spark ideas and get something started that hopefully leads to other somethings. So it has
yeah.
just been such a treat tonight to get to hear all of your ideas of what's happening, and everybody included like what they're either doing or what they want to do with their projects, and then what they want to have happen next. And yeah, it just makes me feel really energized about all the cool work that's happening in West Virginia to get kids excited about different areas of farm to school.
Yeah, well, this has been a fantastic programs. I've written grants before, but for this one, excuse me, I needed the motivation, and you guys gave me that motivation to get it done. And it wasn't a brand new idea. You know, you commented about how fast I turned that assignment around.
Yes, yes.
It was taking everything I already had in notes documents, and turning it into your template, and then doing a little bit more research on the poverty levels in the county and how many people we have and how many kids would be able to participate. And that I've never really done before, to go out and research why. And you guys just gave me the kickstart I needed to get this thing actually done, and now to hopefully bring it to fruition in the next month or
Aw,
2 weeks.
yeah, we appreciate
Listen,
that.
I made it to the third presentation before I started crying. So this is progress. Last year, I think I started crying in like presentation number 1, week 1, because we had 2 weeks of presentations.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly moving, the amazing work that you all are doing. And yeah, we'll jump to announcements, which relates to what Daryl just said. I so appreciate that feedback on the learning labs and how they were helpful to giving you a direction for your project. And we are going to send you guys one final evaluation form to just kind of get your feedback on the learning labs, on the virtual sessions, on the general structure of the program. And we really appreciate you all taking a few minutes to give us your feedback, because that will help us make the program even better in years to come. And then our, I guess, yeah, final Sprout School update is that our spring youth garden gathering is coming up this weekend. We still could have a few more slots potentially. We've got space here, but
Bring
yeah.
your friends.
Yeah. But yeah, let me know about that
Yeah.
in the next couple days as we get things sorted out for rooms and for food. But we're really excited to see everyone who's coming our way. And yeah, oh man, I don't know if struggle to put into words just what a treat it has been to get to know you all and to learn from you all and see the fantastic work that you're doing in your communities. So you all are rock stars, and thank you for everything that you do.